Greetings, everyone. It's great to be with you. I'm honored to be in your presence. We're going to have our meditation first, but to do that, I'm going to draw up an image of an inspiring nature to help us get ready for meditation. Good. Can you see that okay? The heptagon and the rosy cross. Very good. This is tied in with their opening of the Vault of C.R.C. because the vault was a seven-fold heptagonal structure. Take a little time to have a good look at this image, which we'll develop in the presentation and apply in our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum. The Rosicrucian Order is very practical and experiential orientated, where we marry theory and practice so there can be wisdom and compassionate application of our knowledge for all. Anyways, as you're looking at the image, take a few deep breaths, neutral in their nature, as the Rosicrucians say, either holding the inhalation or holding the exhalation. Take in the beautiful colors of the red rose, the golden cross, and the wonderful deep purple, some would say a royal purple of the heptagon's border. And when you're ready, I invite you to close your eyes as we begin our ascent to the heights of the celestial sanctum and the opening of the Vault of C.R.C. So with your eyes closed, just enjoy the deep rhythm of the breath in harmony with all the forces and energies and vibrations of the universe, stretching across the great cosmic keyboard that the Rosicrucians speak of. And we learn about it in the Rosicrucian studies. You know, down through the ages in the annals of mysticism, there's descriptions of great ascents into the cosmic, an attunement with the divine mind. Plato spoke of them. There's a beautiful dream of Scipio text from antiquity as well. Dante spoke of his journey to the center of the universe. So did the Algala Sioux, holy person and warrior Black Elk, spoke to going to the very center of the universe. Also the Sixth Rosicrucian Manifesto, speaking of the work of Christian Rosenkreutz, made a great journey through the universe. Similarly, let us prepare now to make such a journey. Just let go of the cares of the day. If you find the mind wandering, just bring it back lovingly and gently to the breath. Enjoy the wonderful structure, system, and order that is the temple of the body, where the mighty master within, the divine within, is housed and can extend beyond. To help inspire us further to this journey to the center of the universe, let us consider that when we reach that place, I invite you to picture your celestial sanctum as the Vault of C.R.C., which we'll describe further in the presentation. But this time you can think of it as a seven-fold structure, a great chamber that is encyclopedic symbolism, that's a compendium of all Rosicrucian laws and principles. It's an allegorical edifice that is mandala-like, or a psychocosmogram, and a meditation aid that reveals to the aspirant the way of self-mastery through the rebirth of the entombed Christian Rosenkreutz. The building also encapsulates, as a microcosm of the macrocosm, the instructions by which our order, the Collegium Rosae Crucis, or C.R.C., is reactivated in its outer expression according to the traditional 108-year cycle. The Vault of C.R.C. is indeed an architectural form that resonates deeply within us through its close correspondence with the temple of our body, our home sanctum for our spiritual studies, and Rosicrucian temples and pranayas and temples in general, and the cosmos and the celestial sanctum itself. So with these profound thoughts in mind, let us begin our ascent. Rise up in your mind over the place where you are, up above the room, rising up over the house or dwelling where you're at. Then rise up over the city or their town. Do this with ease and enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent. Keep rising up over the state or province where you live. Take in the great sounds and beauties of nature as you rise. As you go up, it suggests the raising of consciousness. Keep going up and see down below the country where you reside. And keep rising up and see the continent and even the hemisphere where you dwell. And continue up further and take in the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. See the great spiraling weather systems, the beautiful blue waters, and the browns and greens and other colors of the lands, and sense the earth rotating about its axis. Everything conducted in harmony according to law and order. And keep rising up again using great inward force, but do it with ease because you're using the spiritual nature which transcends space and time. And take in the entirety of the solar system. See the red planet Mars, see the great rings of Saturn and the huge planet of Jupiter, all revolving about the fiery ball of the sun, suggesting the harmony of the spheres, the great music of the cosmos. And as the solar system becomes smaller and smaller, start to sense not only the sun as a star, but many other myriad stars. They're in our great home, the Milky Way galaxy. See binary stars, white dwarf, the red giants, the quasars, the pulsars, even sense the presence of black holes and dark matter. But continue up faster and faster, starting to get a sense of the great spiraling arm of the Milky Way galaxy that is part of our home, and all the other great spiraling arms of this galaxy, and go right out from the galaxy. And take in, just as you saw the revolving motion in the solar system, see the great revolution of the Milky Way galaxy about its axis. And look about and start to see other galaxies and nebulae and myriad stars as we speed past them. Enjoy the exhilaration of the ascent as we go faster and faster, taking in back of the cosmos what the Rosicrucians refer to as the cosmic, the underlying divine intelligence of the cosmos and all the natural and spiritual laws. Sense all the sentient beings, not only back on Earth, but throughout the cosmos. And indeed, the cosmos imbued as a living entity. Rise up faster and faster in awe of the majesty and expanse of all of this all. Physical expanse suggesting the transcendental or immortal expanse, the infinite expanse within us, imbued in all things through the cosmic intelligence and the life force. Continue to rise faster and faster. And as you do this, have a way, not only a sense of rising higher and higher, but also deeper and deeper within yourself. For as we move to the very heart of the cosmos, we'll move at one and the same time, move to the very heart and center of our being, where the divine within resides. If you find the mind wandering, just lovingly and gently bring it back. This is a time for the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC. No matter what's going on in your life, let it go. View this as a time to be strengthened, rejuvenated, to handle whatever you need to, and embrace it with strength and well-being. And learn the great lessons of life from it. Now, as we come close to the great cosmic axis of the universe that the ancients spoke of, home in on the very midpoint or center of that great axis. Come to it closer and closer as we speed towards it. And as you come to that center point, that still center point of the cosmos, still great still center point of our being, I invite you to picture it as the Vault of Christian Rosenkreutz, the Vault of C.R.C. It's a seven-fold chamber, 7 walls, equal-sided. Feel the door of the vault opening up and you entering in. And take in the 7 walls and all the rich symbolism there, encompassing all the teachings of the Rosicrucians, all natural and spiritual laws written and symbolized there. All this knowledge and wisdom is exhilarating to take in, for it's truly our birthright and what's within us always. It's a matter of awakening to it. At the center of this 7-fold structure is an altar. Move it back and see there a depression in the floor. I invite you to lie in it, which is the place of the entombed Christian Rosenkreutz. Lie down in it and face up towards the ceiling, taking in the beautiful symbolism and the 7-fold structure of the vault above you, and the inner spiritual light that is coming down to bathe you now. As we prepare for this regenerative experience, let us say together, may the divine essence of the cosmic infuse my being and cleanse me of all impurities, mind and body, that I may enter the celestial sanctum in attune and pureness and worthiness. Now, fratres and sorors and students and participants, as this rejuvenating light comes down and pierces your being and spreads out from your heart, intensifying the vital life force, dwell there in peace profound in this Athena of regeneration, at the heights of the celestial sanctum, at the center of your being. Let us dwell for a time now in silence. Feel the second sun or light that is coming down from the vault into your being, intensifying, strengthening, becoming ever more a being of light. As the Rosicrucians in his manifesto say, a being of light, a child of light from the beginning of time until the end of time. Let the exhilaration and the joy build, the tremendous sense of love and well-being for all. Now, while we're cosmically attuned at the center of the cosmos, at the heart of our being, in the Vault of C.R.C, let us radiate love and well-being to all those in need at this time, as a work of the Silent Council in conjunction with the Council of Solace of the Rosicrucian Order AMORC. All those who've petitioned for metaphysical aid, the Grand Lodge, affiliate bodies, and all you know who are in need, all frontline workers, and indeed all sentient beings in the cosmos. Radiate love and well-being. As you've received the light, give it back now. And once you feel the love and well-being radiating greatly on its own, you can continue to dwell in silence, confident that the radiations are continuing. And at a certain point, you may feel that they hasten even further, and you can be assured that they're being received by all those in need. And as you give in, so you receive, and you'll feel, I think, a great tonic effect in your being even more, enriched. I will conclude this period of radiating love and well-being as part of the work of the Silent Council by saying, if it pleases the cosmic, it is done. So be it in truth, so mote it be. Now let us dwell a while longer in the tomb of CRC, looking up at the wondrous vault. And when you're ready, stand up from your lying position, reborn and resurrected in the Vault of CRC, reborn in the teachings of the Order. And when you're ready, you wish to have a prayer of gratitude on your lips for this opportunity to be of service and experience our birthright, the tomb of CRC. Go out from the vault and tomb, close the door behind you, but ever know whatever dwells in your heart at all times. And we'll begin now our descent from the heights of the celestial sanctum, down past the myriad superclusters of galaxies, the nebulae, all the stellar dust, the quasars, the pulsars, the supernovae, past individual galaxies, exhilarated by the descent. And then see the great spiraling arms of the Milky Way galaxy, our home. And home in on the great arm where we live. And come back in past the myriad stars of this galaxy, until you see the solar system. the fiery ball of the sun and the beautiful blue jewel of the earth. Come back to the hemisphere where you dwell, the continent, the country, the town or city. We say together, may the God of my heart sanctify this attunement of self with the celestial sanctum. So be it in truth, so mote it be. Then come back into the dwelling where you were, the room. Feel where you are seated or lying down. Come back into a balanced state of consciousness, imbued with a cosmic consciousness. And when you're ready, you must open your eyes and stretch, and we'll continue the work and worship of the Rosicrucian Order this day. Thank you. Now we'll begin our presentation on opening the Vault of C.R.C. You should see before you on the right a model of the vault or tomb of C.R.C. And to the left of it is what is known as the College of the Fraternity. It's from a book, and the image itself was drawn around 1604. It was published in 1618. The author is Theophilus Schweighardt in his Speculum Suffocum Rhodo Stericocium. In a way, on the left, you see this great moving vehicle that is an allegory of the Rosicrucian Order and its teachings and applications in the world. The model on your right is one that actually is made out of cardstock and folded together and glued together. It's designed by Jeff Hoke, and it's available as a kit to build through the Museum of Lost Wonder. Jeff Hoke is an inspired artist, designer, exhibit designer, and creator, museum curator and author. He has kindly allowed us to use these images of the model of vault or tomb of C.R.C. in this presentation, as well as kindly enhancing some of the images of the model that were assembled by the Rosicrucian affiliate body Toronto Lodge AMORC. You'll notice in here, and the description of the Vault of C.R.C. is given in the Fama Fraternitatis, the first of the 6 Rosicrucian manifestos, and is often done with descriptions of sacred buildings, such as in the Old Testament, the Temple of Solomon, for example, or in the New Testament, the spiritual structure of the heavenly Jerusalem. There isn't entirely full details to reconstruct it. There has to be an inner imaginative working and a wisdom to know how to place it together. Jeff, as the inspired designer, has used sort of the upper cupola of this College of C.R.C. of the fraternity to have a similar design here and a similar vault structure on top. The model of the C.R.C., you can picture it in different ways. In some ways, that's the advantage of a written description. It allows you to use your own inspiration and imagination. But for the pictures of our presentation, we'll use this inspiring design by Jeff Hoke. You know, the narrator of the Fama Fraternitatis, dated from 1614, states that on the door, there was written in great letters, post, and then it has the digits 120, annos patibo, or after 120 years, I shall open, with the year of our Lord written in Roman numerals there. And when there were certain Rosicrucians that discovered this again in a great mountainous structure, and it was hidden, they gave thanks to God that the time of opening of this vault was at hand, and they returned back in the morning. Now it's intriguing that when you look at this structure, Where did the design and description of it being sevenfold come in mind? Well, through the Rosicrucian teachings, there's a tremendous wealth of symbolism of seven. We have it, for example, the 7 days of the week, or the 7 planets, or traditionally the 7 metals, and various other applications of seven. You know, Conrad Heinrich's text, The Amphitheater of the One True Eternal Wisdom, published in 1609, so around the time when the Fama Fraternitatis was being formulated. It's written in an anonymous form, somewhat like our Rosicrucian teachings are anonymous form. There's maybe referred to as a class master. The law of impersonality is being implied. Essentially, is not the point of who wrote it. It's a representation of the order. The Fama Fraternitatis was one of the great early advertising projects when the new art and technology of the printing press had been put in place. It shows that the order was highly organized already in 1614. Now, you'll notice here in Conrad Heinrich's document, Amphitheater of the Only True Eternal Wisdom, that there's a sevenfold fortress that is a place of holy wisdom about which there's the entirety of the cosmos and the world. Same type of idea with the Vault of C.R.C. When they came back in the morning, it said in the morning following, we opened the door, and there appeared to our sight a vault of 7 sides and corners, every side 5 foot broad and the height of 8 foot. This vault we parted in 3 parts, the upper part or ceiling, the wall, and the ground floor. Here's a depiction of these Rosicrucian students opening the Vault of C.R.C. And like in our meditation, sensing the tremendous beam of the second sun or the inner light coming to us. You know, a very practical way, I know sometimes it can affect us when it's overcast out, but always keep in mind, we always have the invisible, the internal sun in us that is far greater and can give us a greater sense of well-being and optimism. If we open up the model here too, we'll see that inside that there's that celestial light coming down, but then there's also an altar there. Indeed, the vault is a time capsule and theater of memory, a mnemonic device for learning and remembering all Rosicrucian laws and principles that are symbolized on its walls. You notice here another diagram from the book, again by the Amphitheater text of Conrad Heinrich. There's a great mountain and cave-like structure with 7-fold teachings here on it, some way associated with the Emerald Tablet of the Hermetic teachings. Again, this is another parallel with the Vault of C.R.C., which itself was encapsulated in a mountain in a cave-like fashion, applying the important symbolism of 7 with great teachings on 7-fold structure like here. As we come in closer, we'll note that on the altar, there's wording in Latin. And it says in the midst, instead of a tombstone, was a round altar covered over with a brass plate. And thereon was engraven, you'll see here, ACRC, Hoc Universi, Compendium Unius Mihi, Sepulchrum Fisi. In other words, this compendium of the universe, I made in my lifetime to be my tomb. And there's a great deal of symbolism and meaning of that. I'll mention some of it in this presentation. But in our lives, as we grow in mastership, we're preparing for our life beyond this incarnation and following incarnations. We're building up our vault in that sense as well. You see the vault and its altar as the corresponding sacred diagrams. They're mandala-like forms that can be used as meditational aids. If we take back the altar, we'll see here as we participated in our meditation period, you'll notice here's the figure CRC with his book T This is one of the fundamental books that are associated with cosmic understanding. Some associated with T, as in the theater of memory. There's also mentioned the book M, or the book of the world, or the Liber Mundi. The book T also has a fundamental correspondence with the book of the world. Some know as the book of nature and the book of the human. The human's book was written by the hand of God, as the initiate Louis Claude de Saint Martin mentions. Now, the Vault of C.R.C. sevenfold structure has encyclopedic symbolism. It's a compendium of all Rosicrucian laws and principles. The allegorical edifice is a mandala-like sacred structure, as I mentioned, or a psychocosmogram. Psycho for our psychology, or the inner spiritual being. Cosmo for essentially the cosmos, a microcosm and macrocosm correspondence. It's a place of meditation, just as we did in our period of ascent today. And it reveals to us as aspirants the way of self-mastery through the rebirth of the entombed C.R.C., which is ourselves. You notice here, as the resurrected C.R.C. rises up with the Liber T, and we turn over the altar, lo and behold, there's more symbolism and structure again there. For the vault is a microcosm and macrocosm, a miniature model of each person in the entirety of creation and cosmos. It's mentioned in the text that concerning the Minutum Mundi, we found kept in it another little altar, truly more finer than can be imagined by any understanding human. And you see, we continue to work with sacred application of number and the symbolism of 7. As we take out even more of the structure, and we note on every side or wall is parted into 10 squares, you'll see here. There's various solutions for that. Sometimes it's been as 3 by 3 plus 1 square rotated to give the 10th square. So the 10 squares, every one with their several figures and sentences. The bottom again is parted in the triangle, but because therein is described as the power and rule of the inferior governors. Every side of the wall had a door and a chest, wherein there lay diverse things, especially our books. So you see the books here, for example. Let's continue further though. If you take out the chests, you see various things to do with the arts and sciences. Indeed, these are the chests of the arts and sciences. The vault is a reminder to us of the application of Rosicrucian laws and principles for self-mastery. You see, in a way, this is an allegory all going on within ourselves to help inspire us. Everything I say to you is something of a practical nature to apply today in your life. CRC was appearing to lie dormant, just as in our full faculties as a human being need to be fully awakened, which is the purpose of the systematic teachings through its 7 degrees and beyond. You notice even more laid out here of the structure and the wonderful model that was designed by Jeff Hoke. And it says in the Fama Fraternitatis, generally all was done in the vault to the end that it should happen that after many hundreds of years, the order or fraternity should come to nothing. They might by this only vault be restored again. You see, in a way, from our incarnations to incarnations, we are restored, rejuvenated again. But also the order regenerates itself through the centuries. This wisdom teachings are always deep within, be contacted, and the worldly life will help clothe their experiences to appreciate these deep jewels of wisdom. Indeed, on this idea of the theater of the memory, I'd like to mention and draw attention to you the document by Giulio Camillo's, his Teatro del Memora, or Theater of the World, which was published posthumously. Camillo passed through transition in 1544. So this is an important text. I think it's very important to think of Christian Rosenkreutz's tomb as a theater of memory, a place where all knowledge, all our Rosicrucian teachings, all your monographs in a way are stored deep within us. You notice in one of the diagrams associated with the theater of the world, talking about the art of memory that comes down to us from the Renaissance, the Middle Ages, and Antiquity. There are the 7 pillars of Solomon. Again, the important 7-fold symbolism with great laws and principles on the associated parts of the amphitheater, like the 7 walls of the Vault of C.R.C. You know, we learned memory techniques in the Rosicrucian Order. The ancient tradition of theater mnemonic devices are very powerful. The human mind is an awful thing to waste. We have great capacities to bring and draw out for us. I'll give you a simple example of application of the theater of memory. For example, I remember many years ago having a neighbor whose name was James Edward Miller. And I always remembered his name anytime I see him, if it was years later, immediately could draw forward his name, because I pictured St. James's Bible seated on the King Edward, the throne of King Edward's, with a miller and a mill standing around that scene. So whenever I saw him in that picture, immediately I would think James from the Bible, Edward from the throne, Miller from the mill. One could also fill in things about it, things to do with him and his family. You see, you can then picture a theater, or here's a work by Robert Flood, the renowned Rosicrucian. You notice he has various compartments similar to the Vault of C.R.C. For memory. You can place in a sacred temple or in your home various things you want to remember about the Rosicrucian teachings, other things. And as you move through that sacred structure or your home, you can go from degree to degree the different teachings of the order. This way, great things can be remembered and with ease. And even today, people who do memory competitions tend to use this technique. Here's something else I wanted to show you about the Vault of C.R.C. It mentions in the text of the upper part was divided according to 7 sides in the triangle, which was the bright center. Although the sun never shined in this vault, nevertheless, it was enlightened with another sun, which had learned from the sun and was situated in the upper part in the center of the ceiling. Now in the model by Jeff Hoke, we took a mirror that was circular and placed it here so that you could see the lit ceiling here, again in a 7-fold structure. This was part of a project that was done by Rosicrucian students in Toronto, and we met at the Toronto Lodge AMORC. And as we made this model from the cardstock and cut it and glued it, that outer construction process assisted the inner construction and maturing process within us. Indeed, whenever we can have opportunities to build and construct and work with our hands, see things in the world, we can use that to edify and draw out for the outer mind to clothe impressions from deep within us. The outer mind needs those things to understand the deeper inner impressions. Indeed, some persons even can go on to the extent of building life-size models of the Vault of C.R.C, which they could go in and meditate in and do various mystical exercises in. Now, you've been probably noting and wondering about this 7-fold structure. I think many of you have been thinking that the designer indeed used the diagram of Sigillum Diameth by John Dee, the transcendental magic and mystical 7-fold structure from 1582. And you can see in the British Museum's Sloane manuscript, dates from the 16th century, predating the Vault of C.R.C. Again, you'll notice even the various letterings, they're not explicitly describing the Fama Fraternitatis, but when Jeff Hoke reconstructed it, he said, I'm going to use the special sacred symbol of the Rosicrucian Magus and advisor to Queen Elizabeth I, Dr. John Dee, for part of the filling in of the imagery of this model of CRC. And this is very befitting considering the central place that Dr. John Dee has in our order, along with past imperator Sir Francis Bacon. You also may have been thinking about this emblem that we know in the Rosicrucian teachings. Later, I'll give you we'll have references in the group chat that Karen will paste for you there. Many of you recognize this recently from the Alchemical Museum at Rosicrucian Park in the recent Rosicrucian Digest article. This emblem by the 15th century Mike Basil Valentine shows the operations of alchemy as rays on a star of transformation, at the center of which is the face of the alchemist, like the wise elder of CRC. Being at calcination, and it moves through the black ray one through dissolution, separation, conjunction, fermentation, distillation, and finally coagulation. Again, this is an important part of the seven-wall symbolism of the Vault of CRC. Each of the rondos of the rays elaborate on each operation. And this is a mandala-like diagram that you as an alchemist and generating one can use, just as the same way that the Vault of CRC is a meditational aid for our spiritual advancement. Similarly, on this point of alchemy and regeneration, you can think of the vault as of an athanar, and of an alchemical furnace for our regeneration through that ascending light and the challenging of our existence. And it's an alchemical vessel, as shown in this diagram here, with the sevenfold symbolism of the metals and the planets, and the uniting to form the perfected spiritual marriage, the life-giving rays of the second sun and the celestial light that ascend from the dome, just as radiate from here. We can think then of the Vault of CRC as in our meditation, as a place of rebirth, regeneration, and resurrection. There's many wonderful stories that are embedded in the Vault of CRC. There's many tales from the past about coming upon a sacred being with sacred writings. For example, in Discovery, the tomb of Christian Rosenkreutz recalls that of the Apollonius of Tyana, who is said to have discovered the tomb of Hermes Trismegistus in the famous Emerald Tablet, and a book explaining the secrets of creation. But we also have the idea of resurrection, just as the master Yahesha was from the cave in the opening of the chamber there, of the wise elder, the God within, the master within that was always with us, and this place of depository knowledge, the temple-like structure that is a microcosm of the macrocosm, just like a temple, our body. The idea of the great light descending, that is the light that is within us, and when it's mixed with life, radiates the love and kindles the love within us. Indeed, it's striking that you recall the seven walls, they have dimensions 4 feet by, 5 feet by 8 feet, which gives you 40 square feet. 40 times 7 then gives you, for the seven walls, give you 280 square feet. This has been thought by many to suggest the 280 days that were ascribed from antiquity and later as the average days of pregnancy, all the more befitting as this is a place of gestation, pregnancy and giving birth to our regeneration, rejuvenation as a new being, as a new person. Continuing on this theme too, we'll notice here a text by Stephen Michael Spiker, somewhat later than a little bit later, but still 17th century, 1654, a beautiful diagram of those 7 alchemical operations that I talked about in that Athol mandala, or 7-pointed star. This is a copper engraving on paper. But again, you see it's a similar cave-like structure going through 7-fold steps of knowledge and this various symbolism of 7, but also 12, which the vault takes part of, in part through being after 120 years, 12 by 10, sacred decade, it would be opened up again. You notice the person's blindfolded. Those have to have the special understanding and be vigilant to know where to find the vault to open it up again. Similarly, on this idea of a 7-fold structure, maybe some of you have been thinking about later structures that are 7-fold in their size. I know for many of you, the interior castle, the most mature work of Teresa of Avila, one of the spiritual classics of Western mysticism, talks about a castle with the 7 chambers. There are 7 passages as you go through, as you mature spiritually, similar to the 5-fold structure of the stages of mystical unfoldment. Here we see a diagram of it from 1677 by Rosae Crucis, his text describing this allegory of Saint Teresa, and it's beautifully illustrated here. But again, it's one of these spiritual structures that's 7-fold that are associated with the sacred teachings of the Hebrew Bible, the New Testament, but also the Zohar and the Kabbalistic teachings, that these stages of 7 that we pass through of perfection, reaching to the Godhead and the divine wisdom to be that fully regenerated human being, have achieved the philosopher's stone through the Athanor and the alchemical vessel of the vault. So we've gone over various points to keep in mind in regard to the Vault of CRC and how it's applicable to our own Rosicrucian studies, our daily application, an inspiring way to think of our Rosicrucian teachings and how we remember them and how we apply them on a daily basis. Indeed, as was mentioned earlier, the Vault of CRC is a symbolic architectural form that resonates deep within us through its close correspondence with the temple of our body, our home sanctum where I do our studies, but also Rosicrucian's temples and pranei, and indeed temples in general, and the cosmos itself and the celestial sanctum. So in a way, we've been always working with the Vault of CRC. In a way, it's a universal theme with the concept of resurrection throughout the ages, the idea of the wise elder, which is our master within, the great light that's within us, the inexhaustible and rich teachings that make the apparent enigma of the universe plain before us in our understanding to apply natural and spiritual laws in service to others, just as the work with the CRC. We also see it as the way that the order rebirths itself or becomes new again and passes its teachings on uncorrupt through its divine channel and spiritual force of wisdom from the initiate to the student, and then as the student becomes the initiator, passes it down through the ages. All these inspiring conceptions of profound nature are embodied in the Vault of CRC. Thank you.